Morning, good morning, good morning.
Good morning.
It's Tuesday.
Good morning.
It's gonna get 50 again today. Yay!
How's Kenny, first of all? That's more important than all this.
Hanging in there. He's doing better. He got back to Tiffin on Friday. He's
Okay.
at Autumnwood for rehab.
He hasn't called me, so I figured that he must not be sure.
No, he doesn't
You know
want
who
to
to-
sleep at that very low
Well, that's
end.
good to know. He's
He'll come back. Fred's not here today.
In
spirit.
Probably not even in
I
spirit.
think.
Pull it
But
Fred.
it's gonna get 50 here,
phone
so
ring.
I don't know why he doesn't. Daniel, good. Daniel. He's okay. Daniel's gonna have lost surgery, so.
It's crazy.
All right, it is Tuesday, March 10th, believe it or not, and this is our work session. And Kathy and Bob are going to talk to us about fun things,
Job and family.
job and family things.
I'm Kathy Oliver, I'm the director. This is Bob Anderson, the assistant director. And we just stopped by to meet you and give you a quick update about what's going on at Job and Family. Lots of work stuff going on, but before I get to the work stuff, I'll just give you an update. On the public assistance side of the house, I had shared with the board, that food assistance has been steadily decreasing. We issue 800,000-ish a month in food assistance, but that's down. Our high would have been 1.2 million a month. So it's going down. We're doing a lot of work activities. As far as the medical coverage piece, still around 20% of the county gets some medical assistance, and there's the national healthcare interaction with all that. As far as just straight public assistance, it's still very small in this county. Less than 6 people work required, and we're working with them and doing all that work. Let's see, here's the part that you guys like to hear. Since you help us with the foster care costs, we currently have only 12 children in care, which is low for us, and we're thankful for our seasoned team of professionals that are able to keep kids safe and, with their family and stuff. So, in the courts and all those partners that help us do that. With child support, we're still collecting about $700,000 to $800,000 a month that goes to the families that the courts order that to go to. That's going well. So then that would bring us to workforce. And then I'm going to let Bob do a little building update for you because, got lots going on with that as well. Workforce, as you know, they renewed the Workforce Investment Act, and now it's the Workforce Investment Opportunity Act. And you as a board will have some decisions to make. And there's, I shared with Stacy yesterday, there's a meeting coming up March 26th. The kind of decisions this board will have to make as local elected officials will be, do we stay in Area 7? At the beginning of WIA, this board did resolutions to allow us to be the fiscal entity for WIA funds, to let us be the one-stop operator, to be the administrative entity for WIA. So some of those things they'll be discussing at that meeting about what the board will get to choose to do for workforce activities. Besides that big piece of that, which is going to be exciting and change and all that, we're still running our subsidized employment program, and Carol's our business contact doing a great job with that. We started a year-round program for youth, and that's going well. I think we've got, 10 maybe placed with local businesses to learn skills and move on to unsubsidized employment. We just got news about the summer employment program for youth, so we're getting ready to get started on that as well. So lots of work activities going on, and we're excited about that. Let me see if I forgot to tell you anything. Oh, and I just wanted to throw out to you, Holly, we've talked a little bit before, Commissioner Kirschner, this is the first time I've talked to you about it, but one of the opportunities we have in the workforce investment services as part of Area 7 is we can participate in a drug screening before people access dollars to get a job or get training. And they did vote to approve that policy, and they're still tweaking it, but you guys can just let me know if you still want to move forward in that direction. And there's no time limit where we have to express our intent to do that, but that's just starting out, so we can join that if we would like to.
So that would be anybody that wants to utilize the program?
They don't have to drug test it, like come into the One Stop, do a resume or any of that stuff. But if we're going to do an on-the-job training with, like say Fred's company, he wants us to do an on-the-job training, we would drug screen them first because we would actually be spending training dollars on that person.
Oh, okay.
So, and that's good for the employer as well because, you know, then they know what's going on. The other scenario where we would do that, say somebody comes in and let's say they want a CDL. They want us to pay for a CDL so they can get a job as truck driver. We would drug test them before the training so we know that we're spending good money and that that person will be able to get a job in that. So those are the sorts of things we could do.
Are county employees drug tested before they're hired?
Some departments.
They said it probably varies by
Some
department.
Some departments.
So that's kind of what's going on in the program, Miriam. And I know that Beth has talked to you a little bit about the lease. We're just tweaking a couple things, nothing big. Got a clean audit, which I was very excited about. Beth and her folks do a great job on that. So really, I'm gonna let Bob talk a little bit about the building.
Okay, what did we start, probably 3 or 4 years ago that the commissioners, if we don't spend all of our money for foster care, we've been utilizing some of that money then being put into kind of a capital projects fund. Last year our hands were forced with the broken water line, and we did probably at least half of our building that we had painting and carpeting and just refreshed the building. That part of the building was constructed in the late 90s. This year we're looking at moving into the portion that was constructed, the first edition out there probably in the 80s. It was upgraded in the late 90s with the addition, but now we're looking at the same thing. We're going to do some painting. We're going to put down new carpeting. We're looking at replacing the ceiling tile that's in there and new lighting, higher efficiency lighting in there as well. We're hoping, actually we've started moving our people now. We're hoping to have them back in place by mid-May to late May. It's just a coordination of the contractors and the people coming in to do the work. The work crew right now from the jail have been with us since the beginning of the month, and they've done a lot of work for us to save us county dollars. They do a lot of our demo and our moving and those kind of things, and then we'll hire the people to come in and put it all back together and reset our cubicles, because that's just, taking them down is very easy, putting them back up, it takes a little more knowledge to do that. So we're working on that. It's really just kind of a facelift for the building, but it's refreshing it, taking care of any other. We're going to do some electrical work because when it was designed back then, we didn't have the number of employees, or we didn't even utilize the parts of the building the way we are today as far as the number of employees in those areas. New Cat 5 wiring. Some of that's just the coatings. It's been bent and twisted so many times that it's just going bad. So we're kind of just revamping that part of the building. We also have M&B asphalt will come in this spring, and they will pave the back parking lots between our building and the Opportunity Center. So it'll be the veterans parking lot, and our parking lot will be repaved and striped. And I don't think that's been paved since the building was constructed either. So it's kind of time for that. We did have them paved like a year and a half ago maybe. The front employee parking lot and the engineer lot, and I'm going to probably have them look at that. There's some cracks forming that are pretty wide, so they're probably going to have to fill those so freeze and thaw doesn't tear up the new pavement, and we'll get that resealed as well.
How much money are you talking about?
For the paving project is about $33,000 to do.
How much
to all
excess do you have that you're able to utilize?
that. 100,000.
100,000.
So, and actually we had some carryover from the previous year, so I think we had about 170,000 actually, because the insurance paid for the majority of it last year. So we'll just use that. We won't spend all that right now. We're waiting on one more price quote, and that's for the ceiling and lighting. Everything else coming in, including the 33,000, we're probably looking between 70 and 80 for what I was talking about.
Do you advertise for those bids, or how do you get the bids for the work that you're doing?
We have procurement plan, so we have to get 3 pricing. If it's not over the actual bid amount that's required by law, then we just get pricing. Some of this, for example, the carpeting, we're using local, we're with Richards, and since they've already bid it starting about 1.5 years, 2 years ago, we just carried them forward. M&B, kind of the same thing. We had actually put that out, and no one else, there wasn't anyone else local, so they didn't even bid on it. Is it Erie Blacktop or someone? I talked with them, and they came and measured it, and he just said, you know, we just can't compete because they're right here with their plan.
They're coming through.
Klaus Construction helps us out as far as like the ceiling and stuff this time. So we try to keep everything local. We do ask for bids. Sometimes we get more than one, usually 1 or 2. We try to get 3 if we can.
Okay, while we're talking about bids, one of the things we purchase as well are vehicles for, you know, folks to go out and do home visits with children and trainings and stuff like that. And we'll probably be, I don't know if you want to explain what you do on that as well.
What we look on for that is the state bidding, state procurement pricing. But then we look locally, because if they can match or beat those, then we keep it local. They don't have a problem doing that. The majority, I think, ever since I've been there, either Reinke family or Compass Motors are the 2. Bauman, sometimes they bid, sometimes they don't. And we're looking at replacing one of our vans now. I believe it's a late 90s Caravan that's getting kind of nickel and diming us and starting to rust out and things, so we'll replace that. And we'll probably put the paperwork on that and then out in the next couple of weeks.
Any questions for us?
No, appreciate working with Carol on the visit with the congressman a few weeks back. They called and just said, hey, we've got a schedule and we're traveling from here to here and we can be there. And we always, when they offer that, I always like to be able to find a place that they can do some stuff. And I said, okay, give me some topics you're of interest. And actually they both worked out, because Carol was very easy to work with Sentinel School and the classes they're doing for the machining
Yes.
machining class that had been offered as meeting the demand of what some of the local businesses had said they needed. They needed some, needed to hire people, but they wanted them to have some skills in this machining area and so forth. And so that class, they've got one with their students, and then the evening class. And so they said that was a great visit and appreciated her kind of taking over, coordinating that and working with Sentinel on that. And as well, Judge Meyer got a chance, he had some topics of interest to quiz the congressman on regarding Medicaid reimbursement once he has a youth that he puts in the center, then that gets cut off. And so he got that opportunity to talk with them as he met with elected officials here that day at lunchtime. So it all worked out, but we appreciate that and her helping out with that. So
Good. I'd like to give you one more thing to think about too, as I mentioned the lease. When I first came to work in JFS, there was a cleaning crew from the School of Opportunity, and they cleaned the building, and it was a work experience for them. Well, if you're following what's going on at the state level with disabilities, that's a workforce initiative that they have going on. I don't know if at some point that would help you with your building maintenance staff. If we wanted to do that with, we'd have to get pricing, because I think there's a number of people who do that, like, ECI, REM, of course the School of Op, there's probably 3, 4, 5 that would do that. But something for you all to think about if you want to be, part of that initiative and help provide job opportunities for those folks. So, something to think about.
okay.
So, and Commissioner, if, Kathy and I talked, if you want to come out, I don't know if you've been in our building anytime recently, but, to hear more about our programs, or come out and see that.
We have a rep on the board, on their board?
No, we just don't have a,
That's-
well, foster care, there is. And I don't know who that is. It's not me. It's either you or it's,
I usually talk to.
it was always Jeff.
Yes,
I love that.
Commissioner Zoller has come out a couple
Okay.
times, and we've talked about those things. I did neglect to say that the two things that you provide for us in your budget is foster care funding, and then there's a mandated share that you're required to match for the public assistance realm.
Well, I've been to every building out there, I only have missed chairs, that's.
Were you in Veteran Services
Yeah.
area at all?
Yeah,
Just
it
not
was.
on the other part of it?
Oh, yeah,
We have to come out to the one stop.
yeah.
So with this reorganization stuff at the meeting on the 26th,
Mhm.
I know I saw an email yesterday, can't tell you I read it because it was my first day back and I had a lot of unread email. So I was trying to get through them and whatever looked like it had some kind of priority order. But is there any chance, I mean, I guess we will definitely want to look to what your thoughts are on what's best, but any chance of them looking at redesignating that one stop or anything like that? Because we certainly wouldn't, I mean, we know that's not just serving Seneca County.
Mhm. Right.
but We'd like to keep it here, right?
Yes, we absolutely would, and that is one of the key issues in the new legislation. That will not take effect this year, but next July, one-stops have to be procured, just like anything else. And so there'll be bids on who wants to run the one-stop. I don't know exactly the timing of when that will come out, but it looks like, I talked to John Trott from Area 7, he's the CEO, and I've asked him to actually come talk to you at some point, so I'm trying to get some dates for that. The state would give guidance to the areas, and the areas would release an RFP and request bids for one-stop operation to take effect July of 2016. For this July, there is some procurement and services for youth that will have to go into effect. And so we actually were just talking about that, and I'm sure they'll talk a little bit about it at that meeting as well. Because you know, procurement's always very, important to do that properly. And but you'll hear about, there's a choice to, participate if you want to be in a different area, and the board will get to choose that, and we'll give you some input about what we think. So it'll be interesting to see what happens, though. We'll ask you to do some resolutions at some point when that comes to being. We're checking our procurement on youth services right now to make sure we have that, or if we don't, we can do an RFP. So some of those things they'll start talking about.
Okay. Where's that meeting at?
It is, what did I say?
I think it's by the
Hyatt.
airport. That
Yes.
one?
The airport Hyatt?
Yes.
Oh,
Mhm.
Columbus.
Okay. Then we went to that one, it was just Delaware, wasn't it?
Yes.
On 23 somewhere,
Mhm.
we went with you guys once.
Mhm.
26th is our last Thursday board meeting, so we do have a board meeting that day. So,
Okay. As I say, I hadn't taken it and looked at the calendar and
Yeah.
anything else at that point, I just saw the date.
yeah,
Okay,
so I guess it depends what we've got going on.
agenda-wise.
Yeah.
Although we would have another Tuesday meeting.
Yes, on the
before the end of
41st.
the month,
Yes.
which would be an advantage, okay.
And I believe that Laura Abdu-Absi, if you've met her from CCAO,
Mhm.
I believe she's gonna be presenting at that meeting as well. But if for some reason you can't attend because you have business that you have to do here, I can certainly bring back the information for you. And again, like I said, I'm trying to get John Trott to come here to answer any questions that the board might have about what's coming down the pike. Okay,
Sounds good, thank you.
all right.
Appreciate you
Thanks.
coming in.
Nice
Thank
meeting you.
We still have 10 minutes before we can go into our regular scheduled advertised time. Do we have anything else for work session? You didn't have anything, right?
Yeah, I don't know if you wanna talk about this stuff in the regular session, if you wanna have some discussion now.
Doesn't matter. Does anybody have any questions? Sorry, if they were for them, we could grab them quick. Okay. Yeah, we can talk about this now, I guess. What he's referring to is the meeting I missed last week. We just talked about some Justice Center, where we go from here, kind of thoughts. And Mike was going to update me.
Okay, well, we had a bit of a discussion last week, but, we wanted every decision if possible to be agreed to by all the commissioners. So Fred did have this conversation in the meeting last week, but the COG has offered a steering committee, if you will, that would include all the major stakeholders and a few people from the Council of Governments to put together a flow chart for the building, the courthouse building, from soup to nuts, from the beginning, you know, what steps need to be taken, what's a timeline, put together a Gantt chart so we all understand exactly what is supposed to happen in certain frameworks of time. And the second issue is a design committee that again would include some or all the stakeholders, one commissioner, so that there can be some public input as to the design of the building when we get to that point. I mean, simple things like, is it going to face South Washington Street or is it going to face Market Street? And you know, how can we best utilize the space that's left and the appearance of the building, et cetera. I know we have some preliminary drawings, but we're back to near square one when it comes to the design.
Sure, sure. So this is obvious, John's the director of the COG, right?
Yes.
John DeWoley. So it'd be working, John's willing to work with us and help, I guess my viewing it is kind of some of the administrative types of
Well,
things.
it's kind of, you know, to start to see what the bid process is for, or, you know, basically what's step one here? What's the process to get all this started and a timeline to keep it rolling? And to have some professionals as part of it, you know, possibly, you know, somebody that has some architectural knowledge but isn't the architect for the project. To have a couple of the judges and to have the mayor and to have those folks to keep this thing rolling, assuming that it's a joint justice center.
And obviously the loan is what they had applied for, the interest-free loan was through
And
the
they would
COG.
follow through with that.
And obviously
You know,
they
that-
still have that
obviously that's contingent on whether or not it's a joint justice center. So we don't really want to spend any of that money until we determine that that's going to be what the project is.
Sure, sure, yeah. I mean, I think it sounds like it's got merit to be very beneficial. I guess, is it possible for maybe Stacy and I to meet with John?
Absolutely.
Just because, I know when we were preliminary talking, I don't know, whenever it was, about, you know, we've not, but this office
Right.
staff has been through that whole, and to make sure that, not that they're gonna overlook anything, but that whole process,
Well,
the things that we have to
right.
do.
When I talked to them, they had a list of who they thought would be on the committee, but I said I also want Stacy on the committee because then she can be the conduit for the rest of the commissioners to let us know what's happening.
So if-
And we wouldn't, from what I think, we wouldn't need to designate an individual commissioner. We could just say a commissioner, so that when there are those times that one of us couldn't make it, the other one could, you know, kind of keep this thing flowing.
yeah, yeah. I mean, the aspects of it that I like is that bringing in that expertise that's not on anybody's payroll for doing it. And then the partnership with the users of the facility, one of the judges, I mean, they're the ones that are gonna be housed there. And then the, you know, us being represented, that kind of a thing, but, and then when you talk about the public involvement part, when it gets to the design, I think that'll be beneficial. Again, you know, you can't open up to everything and, you know, everybody's wish list and that kind of stuff and drag things, but there's input that would be very, very beneficial. And, you know, I did public involvement work for a long time, and you do learn some good things, and if you can, same thing, tie somebody in who's got some design experience, again, not on the payroll of anybody for the project, beneficial, and keep informing the public of what we're doing all along the way. And as long as whomever attends those reports back here, I think it can probably work well. But I just to
Sure,
hear from
absolutely. I
them.
think, you know, probably Dr. Lahosky would probably be with it as well when we do that. But I think that's a great idea. Again, you know, it's not something that we're bound to,
Yeah,
but, yeah, so if there's some level of discomfort along the way, we could say, look, we're just gonna go another way with this whole thing. But, you know, for us to put a flow chart together, you know, if we can leave the building construction process to people that have some knowledge of that, I think we'd be better off. You know, get some
Yeah.
professionals involved.
sure. Okay.
How soon are we looking to put out the request for qualification?
Well, see, I think that's where we would get together with these folks and start that. You know, what I would like to see personally is, you know, this Gantt chart or the flow chart put together.
Okay.
So that, you know, to answer your question, you know, that needs to be put out by, you know, pick a date,
Okay.
April 30th. And then at least I will be able to say, okay, is this done? And then what's the next step when this is done, so that we all are on the same page, rowing in the same direction. And then the second item is the design review committee, and I think that if we get, again, it's not a binding, it's not a committee that's gonna make the final decision, we have to make that decision, but at least we can get some input from people that are gonna be stakeholders, and maybe a couple of folks from the general population who have some knowledge of design and architect, or have some knowledge of that kind of process, and say, you know, we think this building makes the most sense because it allows for the most green space, or it is the most efficient construction, or we gotta decide things like, is it gonna be design build, or is it gonna be under construction management, and we haven't even done those things
Yeah.
yet, so
Yeah.
that'll make a difference in the bidding process.
Good. All right, well, we'll do that. We'll get hold of John and Dr. Lahosky and schedule something for the two of us to go out there and meet with. I just, like I said, if we start, so we know for sure the expectations of either, you know, of everybody involved, and
Right, and
I
the
think
committee-
it's easier for me to explain if I understand it better, and
Right.
just
And
want
I don't
to.
think the committee members are set. It's just that this is a suggested list of people.
Okay.
But I do, you know, we want to get the stakeholders participating, certainly.
Yeah, yeah. Good. Okay. Let's wrap up our work session, and in 30 seconds here, we'll call the regular meeting to order. Guess we're still recording, right? Okay. It's about that time. There we go. I mean, it'll officially be 10 o'clock. Officially call this meeting of the Seneca County Board of Commissioners for Tuesday, March 10th to order. Please stand and join us for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I just want to do the 4-H pledge after that.
It's forced to have it, I about did.
Yes.
Please join me for a brief prayer. Lord, thank you for this opportunity to gather as public servants to conduct the work of this county. Thank you for the day and all those who have come to join us, and please help us to do diligent work in your name. Amen.
Thanks for a few days above freezing.
Definitely.
Hallelujah.
That, roll call, please.
Commissioner Stacy?
Here.
Commissioner Zoller? Commissioner Kirschner?
Here.
We'll have the signing of the journal, and I'll accept a motion to approve the DVD recording of the previous board session from Tuesday, March 3rd, and the written index.
I will so move.
And I will second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Approved. Okay. Do we have any adjustments to the agenda? Anything need to add?
I need to add new business, some security lights out to the sheriff's office.
Okay. And do we have an executive session? That's not added on this printed agenda, but we scheduled that for
10:45.
10:45 for discussion of personnel. Anything else? Okay. We have no old business since we took care of that discussion in the work session, so we'll go to new business. Do you want to do the security light thing first, just so we don't forget it after the resolutions? I tend to do that.
Sheriff has quite a few security lights out in the parking lot areas that have been needing addressed. They're just slowly going out. We got a quote from Klaus Electric to come in, and they've given us a few options. We can replace them with kind of what's currently there now, but his recommendation is going up to the new LED replacement fixtures. There is a kind of a big difference. You know, there's for just the regular lights to replace them, replace the ballast, is almost $200. For the LEDs, is closer to $800 each. They do have, there's probably about 30 lights that needs replaced all around his building and on the doors. So it's quite pricey project, could be up close to $30,000 for this project, but they're talking AEP has up to $3,000 rebates for these new LED lights, and they're talking about us potentially saving 2/3 of our bill. So wanted to check with you to see what direction, that since it's such a large amount, not something I can just make that call on.
What kind of rebate do they get from AEP?
For an energy savings,
3,000 total for the whole project?
total, yeah.
So it's of a $30,000 project, it's that one-time percentage, and that's it. Okay.
Yep, and
And
then,
obviously, it doesn't make sense to do half of them, because you would never realize the cost potential savings.
Right.
And the,
I mean, sheriff was okay with it either way, but Tanya and I were kind of looking at it on saving, we have talked about doing a lighting project, and Palmer's talked about doing a lighting project. But with his needs out there being the security lights, I don't think we want to wait for that. So
yeah.
do we go ahead and upgrade it for the energy savings we could be getting and the rebates we could be getting back on it?
Yeah, I imagine there's a deadline on the rebate thing.
Yeah, I don't know the deadline on it, but I'm sure there was. We have funds in 215 for that project, so.
And if you didn't do the LED, it's,
They're about 200 each, so it's gonna drastically reduce that cost.
25%
yeah, I was gonna say.
cost.
I'm assuming they got stats to prove that these LEDs last and save the money and
Yep.
that kind of stuff, and.
Yep. And that was the recommendation from Klaus, but he'll do either or. And you guys can think about it.
Well, is
I
it
don't need
is it worth getting somebody else to look at the bid? I mean, at this level, should we have another bid, do you think?
We can get that, because when we asked them to replace it, we were just gonna do the ones that were currently burnt out, and that's when he had suggested, AEP has this program going on, so go ahead and give us a quote, and then, of course, we went ahead and, if we were gonna do one, he does have a lot burnt out there, but there's some we'd just be replacing to
Sure.
have them all, because we don't wanna have to bring the lift back in.
Right, I was gonna say, time you,
How tall are they, do you know that?
Oh,
How high a lift do they need?
I don't know how high, they're on the big telephone poles out there. Our lifts could get high enough, but because it's in the yard, our maintenance can't do it. The equipment has skinny tires or something, and we can't get in the yard with our lift. So we usually call Klaus to have him do it. But it's usually just here or there, but this one,
yeah, it's more the bulb at this point, if
Yeah.
they convert it, the ballast.
Well, with that kind of money, I certainly want private industry to do whatever they can do, but with our guys, I mean, isn't it possible to rent a lift? Would it be less expensive to have our guys do it? I mean, if it's just a question of replacing bulbs,
I don't know if they
we're not
know
talking
how to
about
do
special
the
skills here.
LED replacement fixtures. They can do the regular ones, renting a lift and,
Okay, so is there, when they do the LED, I guess I'm not
They're
intelligent enough
replacing
to-
the whole-
They're replacing the whole fixture?
yeah,
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
so the bulb isn't retrofit into that
right.
fixture? Okay.
I guess since there is such a cost difference, maybe we ought to get another
We
quote,
can do that.
and then check on the deadline too, with
For the
AEPs. I mean, we don't wanna cause them to miss that, but
Yep, I can do that.
since that's a fairly large difference, doing it one way or the other, we at least have another quote to
Yep.
confirm.
I can do that.
Yeah, I think the bottom line is we ought to replace them with LEDs, but,
Yeah.
and then when we make that decision, now we're talking about a project that's significant in dollars, and
Right.
Yeah.
have somebody else take a look at it. I
Sure.
would assume cost will be the low bid, but.
Yep.
But Klaus Electric.
Yeah. Yep.
Stacy, there also might be some federal grants to help with that.
Changing over the energy
Uh-huh.
savings.
I might,
Okay.
Yeah.
so, they're-
I
I
know
know
the
you
school,
had
the
rural
school's
development.
got, the school's got a lot of money when they put LEDs in some of the buildings.
Right.
I'm not sure where they got the money from, but they got a lot of money.
I don't know if rural development has any, I know rural development has some great grant monies out there, but I don't know if it would qualify for governmental agencies or stuff. And then also, SBA has some, but it might be, I'll look into it for you.
Okay, thank you.
We just work with the producers, so.
Yeah. Alrighty. If Jason probably doesn't mind going early, do you anticipate anybody else coming that
No.
was coming for you or anything? Because
No.
you're scheduled at 10:15. Do you want to go? Otherwise, you're gonna hit the end of all this reading of resolutions. We'll probably put us past 10:15.
It makes me no difference.
Okay, well, we'll let you go now. And I don't know if you've met Commissioner Kirsch.
No, not yet.
Or not. Jason Seidel is our youth educator with the OSU Extension Service.
Nice meeting you.
From Seneca County, and started not quite a year ago.
Almost a year, March
Almost a year.
24th. So,
Oh,
yes,
okay.
getting real close. Getting real close. So, thanks for having me in. I just wanted to share our county highlights from last year as part of OSU. And
We'll leave Fred's.
Okay, sure. And then I also wanted to highlight actually one of our own within the county. Each year OSU Extension does an annual report. And this year one of the focuses was on the PEDV swine disease. And our own Dr. Todd Price from Seneca County was actually highlighted as being one of the, I don't say vets on the forefront, but one that used the services and the knowledge from Ohio State Extension and helping to get the information out about the disease and find some possible causes and things like that. So just wanted to bring that to everybody's attention that one of our own from Seneca County actually made the report, which got sent out to everybody in the state. So currently here, I don't know how familiar you are, Commissioner Kirshner, with the county program. With Extension in general, there are 4 major programs, which is 4-H youth development, which everybody generally associates with Extension, ag and natural resources, family consumer sciences, and then community development. Ideally, in an ideal world, there is an educator in each of those program areas for each county, or as much as funding allows. Here in Seneca County, we have myself as the lone educator in 4-H youth development. We also are fortunate to have Bernie Stevens, who is a SNAP-Ed program assistant. SNAP-Ed is kind of a spin-off of the federal food stamp program and WIC and things like that. And so Bernie goes around to a lot of different schools in the county and educates the kids on proper nutrition, healthy choices in food, does some fitness, in the gym classes and things like that with them. Her other main objective is also working with some of the older population. She goes to, I'm trying to think of the name of the program now. I've just lost my train, just lost it. But either way, she goes around to some of the other programs that deal with the elderly and does programs there. So we also have a very strong Master Gardener program here in the county. They are actually an all volunteer-based program. They work a lot with the home garden and homeowner type issues. So if, say for instance, you've got a tree in your backyard and it's starting to maybe wilt, or you notice something going wrong with it, you can bring that sample in and we'll have our Master Gardeners try and take a look at it. They will do the best that they can, being they're all volunteers, to help identify and propose maybe some solutions or something that might help. They also do a lot of programs and take care of the flower beds off the fairgrounds, do some work at the Miller Farm, have a big annual plant sale coming up here in the springtime each year, and some other things like that dealing with the garden. As for myself with 4-H, 4-H is the youth development part of OSU Extension. We enroll kids into the program anywhere from age 5 all the way up to age 18, or kindergarten through 12th grade. Currently, we're in the middle of enrollment time right now. Last year we had just about 1,000 kids, 994. which are grouped into community clubs that are led by parent volunteers. We had about 175 volunteers last year for 2014. In terms of programming, some of our main programs are our junior camp out to Kelly's Island, which is coming up in June. We take about 80 to 100 kids out to Kelly's Island for a weekend and do some programming there. We have a Real Money, Real World program, which focuses on financial awareness and making good choices for junior high and high school kids. I was able to go into 3 schools last year and work with that program. I put in for a one-time grant to try and get some more money to buy another kit and some more materials, along with train some more volunteers to help with that program. So I'm waiting to hear back on that. A big push this year is STEM and STEM education, science, technology, engineering, and math. And I put in for a grant for that to have a STEM challenge. It's called the Water Windmill Challenge, and it's sponsored through Monsanto. And we're going to try and do that at camp. And basically the focus is you get some materials, and they have the kids work in teams to build a windmill to hold, or be able to windmill derrick to hold up to 3 gallons of water, which weighs approximately 25 pounds. And then of course, you work on the design and what works and what doesn't, and go the whole scientific process and things with them and that. And with the water crisis in Lake Erie and the algal blooms and things from last summer, water quality is kind of a real hot topic and big issue around the state, especially here in Northwest Ohio. So we're trying to help educate the kids early on about water quality and where water comes from and things, I think is a great idea. So Ohio 4-H Week is going on this week. We're celebrating that. And I brought a couple mementos. Here we go. If I may, a keychain, because everybody needs keychains, I believe, about Ohio 4-H.
Oh, yeah.
So there you go for that.
Thank you. Nope.
Pardon?
You know, if you had to report it.
Oh.
We're talking about doing financial disclosure.
Oh, yes, I know,
I
exactly.
think it's under the value amount.
Yeah.
Unless it tells us this is sterling or something.
No, I checked myself, through Ohio State. It's under our amount, so as long as it's under your amount, I think we're good. So one last thing, Bernie wanted me to announce that she's having a SNAP Ed Advisory Committee and meeting. If you'd like to learn more about her program, she's meeting April 2nd at 8:30 in the morning out at the Extension office. So.
Okay. And just an update for you, I started working just at the time they were bringing Jason on board with the Extension Advisory Committee. They invite us to come to their meetings if we ever want to or can.
Okay, yes.
And at the time, now is Kathy still, or are you county chair now? She still has to oversee that until you.
Yes, she has to oversee
Okay.
that, yeah.
So Kathy Brewer from Ottawa County is our acting interim county chair
yeah, county chair and
until Jason
director.
can move into that role after whatever.
This fall. There's some training that Ohio State wants me to go through. So that'll be here in the fall. We was hoping to be, through that process a little sooner, but they're going to do the training once a year and happen to be in the fall this time around.
Okay, so she was fulfilling that role in the transition of everything and still has to do that part of it. But I started working with her and the Extension Advisory Committee on, because the request had come, as he mentioned, it'd be ideal if they could have additional agents, and we lost having an agricultural agent some time ago. It's been
4 years.
as I say,
Going
over
on 4 years,
Okay.
yeah.
And just exploring, should we fill that position or not? There's some that obviously say yes. And I thought, well, I wanted to see the need identified, so we knew whether we did or didn't have that, and what we would want, type of background experience we'd want in that person. And Cindy,
Torpa.
oh, there we go, I'm
Yes.
still listening to the last name, is a regional person with OSU Extension, and they were going to begin, and I haven't touched base with them, and I need to do that, because somewhere beginning February or March, they were going to start doing a needs assessment, and with, in cooperation potentially with Wyandotte County, because Wyandotte County as well has an agent doing community development and economic development stuff for Wyandotte County.
Correct.
But that they might as well be willing to share a ag agent with us, because in order for our county to have another agent, we'd have to contribute more, pay for that position. which you're looking at somewhere about 60,000 with expenses along with salary, that kind of stuff, to cover everything for it. And if we did that as a share with Wyandotte County, but like I said, I think we needed to do the needs assessment to determine that and so forth, and they were willing to go through that process. So I need to touch base with her where
Yeah.
she's at with that.
Yeah,
But they
so,
were gonna start that this winter sometime.
Yes, we have. We met Robbie Sigler from Wyandotte County, is the 4-H educator down there. Her and I and Kathy and Cindy met, about a month ago.
Okay.
Started looking over and brainstorming some ideas of how we want to approach, the needs assessment, some questions to ask, different ways to, to go about it. We actually have another meeting scheduled March 23rd, Monday morning. I'll let you know the date and time, or the time, if you'd like to join that one with us. And Kathy is bringing in Ron Overmeyer, which you know Ron very well. Ron is a Maritime alumni of Ohio State, does a lot of work, very well known, through the state, country, internationally with ag. So we're going to bring in his expertise and ask him and kind of pick his brain about some different ways, to look at things and that. So yeah, hopefully in another, I'll say, month, we'll have the needs assessment generated, and then I'll be happy to come back and present that to everybody, and then start going around and see where we go.
Okay, good.
Okay?
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate the update.
You're welcome.
Uh,
You're welcome. See ya.
We have, the RFQ is 10:30. And we have the UMISTIA at 10:30. Do you want to go now? Are you anticipating somebody else coming or anything?
Oh, no, it's just me.
Or do you want to sit and listen through our resolutions?
I don't care. It's purely up to y'all. If you want to get rid of me, we can do it now.
Well, let's just have you go down.
Get you the heck out of here, so.
No, not for that reason. Like I said, we have to do that thing at 10:30, so I'm thinking we can do yours and then
We're good. We'll get this done. So, all right, so I have a few things for you. So, and I know mine don't go over the limit either, so you'll be fine, so. We'll be all good. So, first and foremost, you have a calendar. So first and foremost, I am very proud to announce that the Seneca Conservation District was awarded the Presidential Award at our last meeting, at the last annual meeting. So they recognize us for a lot of the contribution and what we're doing as far as leading the districts and being proactive in their role as far as water quality goes. So it was a surprise for us. We didn't know that. Brett Margroff, our nutrient management technician, also won the Outstanding State Employee Award. So it was a lot of fun at the meeting this year.
Yeah.
Instead of getting the looks of we're a little proactive district. Not all districts are doing the things that we're doing, and so some of those are still stuck in not. How do I put this politically correctly? Not stuck in the mud, but they're still stuck back and thinking about what they always used to do and not really wanting to develop new programs. So it's been interesting. It was a welcomed kudos for us. It was kind of fun because Brett got his award and Beth and I were tweeting it out and Facebooking and Instagramming, and all of a sudden I get hit in the knee, and Chris Schimpf, our board supervisor, said, "They're talking about us," and I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And so it was a lot of fun. What I gave you, what you have in your hands right now this is a piece that we gave to the legislators. We met with legislators during the annual meeting, talking to them about the budget. So this is what we did for them, not telling them the practices put on the ground, but our proactive work that we're trying to do outreach with their constituents, and also to promote some of the programs that we're doing. So in it, you'll see that we've had quite a few national and state level articles between Ohio Farmer, our Ohio Magazine, and also the National No-Till Magazine. We're getting a lot of public play as well for the things that we're doing locally to help treat water and promote water quality with our producers. So kind of talks about some of the things we're doing. You see the calendar we do every year. It also talks a little bit about the photo contest that we do to get those pictures for the calendar. So when you're bored and you need something to read, exciting to read, this will pep you up, okay? It also takes you to the links to the articles that were in the magazines, and so that you can see those as well. Also wanted to let you know about a couple workshops that we have coming on. We've actually are inviting the state legislator to a cover crop workshop that we're doing, and you have that flyer as well, where we've decided that we need to invite them and educate the legislators on what producers are actually doing. We're afraid that they don't really realize that producers are actually trying to do some things to promote water quality as well as reduce nutrient runoff. So we're inviting legislators to come into one of the two workshops and talk to us about it. And so we're hoping that, we can get some response. I know that Senator Burke probably won't be able to attend because when we were down there last, they said he normally doesn't get out into the area except for on Thursdays because his wife makes him go back to the pharmacy and earn his keep. So I doubt we can get him, but we're hoping that we can get at least Jeff McLean and Bill Reineke to come and visit with us during one of the sessions. And then also you'll see that we're doing a wildlife planning meeting, promoting to absentee landowners what they can be doing as far as helping with wildlife development and water quality issues. So that's not necessarily the agricultural producers themselves, but they're absentee landowners, making them understand the importance of it. So when a producer goes to them and say, hey, listen, I'd like to put in a filter strip, or I'd like to do a field border or a quail buffer, they understand what's going on and understand the importance of it. So that's what we're trying to do, and educate them in doing that. So one key thing I want you guys to know, that beginning in April, I don't want you to be hit from the side, but you're going to start seeing billboards. We got a $10,000 grant from the National Wildlife Federation.
Turn it.
There you go. This is just a proof it might not look exactly like
Otherwise,
this.
people would drive down the road with it.
Exactly, yeah. But we got a $10,000 grant from the National Wildlife Federation to do, this is our second grant with them. We were the first grant east of the Mississippi when we did it. They liked what we did. The cover crop signs that you guys probably have seen across the county was a result of that, as well as some the permanent conservation cover crop display that we have out the county home there now, and some other things. So they've given us $10,000 to do this new billboard campaign. We've gone to a cover crop champion team, and you'll see on that team includes 2 young FFA students, as well as our nutrient management technician, Brett Margroff, and then 3 farmers. One who is very experienced in no-till, has been doing it for 30 plus years, and 2 of them are, the 2 younger farmers are actually part-time, I shouldn't call them part-time farmers, but they actually have work outside the farm as well. So one is an ag lender, one is a ag retailer, so agronomist for an ag retailer. So they're going to be the idea is to get people to want to talk about cover crops and understand what the importance of cover crops are in water quality and what we're trying to do to protect the lake. And again, this is geared towards educating not just agricultural producers, but the general public. So, and making them understand. We've all seen it. We all know it's coming down the line with Senate Bill 1. There's a lot of changes happening with that as far as the restrictions that are going to be put on ag producers. And we're really trying to communicate and make sure people understand what producers are doing. It's not that they're not just uneducated, and that they are educated and they are trying to do the right thing. So that's the focus of this campaign. So I didn't want you guys to drive by and see this huge billboard and go, where did Seneca get that money? We got a grant to do all these things. So that's something new and exciting. We're pretty excited about that. We're hoping to, just having the youth involved in it is one of the key components for us, is getting those guys. They're also going to be they're required to go around and speak. So those young FFA kids are going to go to the different FFA groups and speak out about water quality and cover crops and the importance of soil health. And then the ag producers that we have are going to be working with field days and some other things. They are going to be doing blog posts on our website. They're all going to be doing they're going to be tweeting, and they're going to be posting on Facebook, on our Facebook pages, those kind of things. So we're involving them on the social media standpoint as well. So the funding right now, the state organization met with Brian Hill, who's the chairman of the Ag Committee for the House of Representatives, and there is potential for SWCDs to get more funding. They're open to that. They're open to that discussion. We're hoping that we can get a lot of discussion coming from our local county commissioners as well, talking to our legislators, the importance of it with what they're asking in Senate Bill 1 to happen. It's going to be a huge workload on soil water districts, especially in Northwest Ohio, in the Western Lake Erie Basin. We had a nice conversation with legislators 2 weeks ago when we were down for the annual meeting, educating them on, they want nutrient management plans designed for all these producers, and I understand and agree with that, but there's not enough people out there to do them. In the soil and water world,
Yeah.
TSPs are not necessarily willing to do them because of the time that it takes. You know, most of these nutrient management plans are, small ones are 50 pages. That's a small one. You know, so, and if you're going what we call a comprehensive nutrient management plan, which includes livestock, you're talking a minimum of 75 to 100 pages because we have to add that organic fertilizer into it. So educating those legislators on what it's going to be, but they are willing to look at putting more money towards the districts. They're at least open to that discussion. They haven't committed to it, but they have committed to an open discussion about it. So we're asking, as you're talking with legislators, if you're talking with our legislators or any other legislators or even your other commissioner, counterparts in different roles as commissioners, please encourage them to continue to talk about bringing more money in. Right now it'll affect, of course, Northwest Ohio more because that's where the focus is right now, but we're hoping that focus transfers onto the southern districts because of the oil boom that's happening in southwest or southeastern Ohio, and also some of the nutrient management issues starting to happen on the Ohio River. So just encourage you guys to talk, freely, and encourage that, we are doing some good things out here in the landscape, and that, it would be a well-deserved increase for the districts. Not matched according to your funds, but additional funding on top of what the local match is, so.
And you said that Senate Bill 1.
Senate Bill 1 has already passed the Senate, yes, and it's in the House right now. We'll see what, it might stall in the House a little bit because the House has their own bill as well, so it might be a merger of the two. So, but yes, it is Senate bill. The new legislation that would be geared towards increasing our workload is all in Senate Bill 1, is what we've seen so far. So, also you're going to probably hear there's rumblings that they're going to transfer soil and water districts from the Division of Natural Resources to Department of Agriculture. So don't have a problem with that. That we've had some issues with DNR in the past because they've tried to take some of our funding away from us. Haven't had a warm welcome there, not necessarily. It's changed a lot since we've got a change in direct leadership there with the chief of the soil and water resources, but it's not necessarily a bad thing. The reason is they're looking at it from the standpoint of pollution abatement right now is handled by DNR, even on the livestock side of it. They'd like for that livestock portion to be transferred over to ODA, and so they're looking at transferring the districts. The problem comes to being is not all districts deal with agricultural issues. There's a lot of urban issues as well. The rumbling is, and what we don't want to happen, is they're talking about splitting up urban and throwing it to EPA and Division of Forestry, some things. So the important thing is, Mark, is to continue to keep all program of the districts under one agency primarily, and then to work with the other agencies, what we currently do. We currently work with OEPA on urban stormwater and runoff and management. And we work with the Division of Forestry with forested lands and things like that. We work with CAUV with the audit. We're working with all different agencies. The importance of keeping us together, it's important not to necessarily break up our authority or our guidance. Keep us all under Department of Agriculture. So as you're talking and say there's rumblings, trying to communicate the reasons to keep us all together. Keep that management under one agency. So we're a little concerned on that. So that's the only concern that we have of leaving DNR to moving to ODA. ODA will probably actually give us some possible regulatory authority in the future. Not necessarily that we want that, but if needed, especially with pollution complaints, we'll see more action when we have an offender, which is what we need. And we haven't seen that action through DNR. So we're going to be doing the Leadership Ag Day again with Leadership Seneca County, so that's coming up here in April. We're also getting ready to change the signs out front, so you'll see our new logo on the signs out front of the Ag building. So we've got, we're missing one sign. The first one came in, we don't have the second side, so we don't want to put one side up and not have the other side up, so that's coming as well. We're doing a families connecting with nature programs out at the Miller Farm. This will be one coming up in March. We're going to be doing ducks. We've done one on tree ID, one on the eagles. We're also going to be doing one on bird banding and building bluebirds. So it's just again, it's trying to get young kids out in the nature, get them out involved and getting them to understand the importance of not sitting inside playing games, but getting outside and connecting with nature. So our new wildlife specialist has developed those programs, and we're going to be doing, when warmer season comes, we'll be doing one of those once a month, if not twice a month. Victim assistance contacted us, and we are going to be working with them for they're putting together a program in October for survivors of victims of abuse, and we're going to be donating trees to them to give for them to plant as a new beginning. So they thought maybe with our tree sale we could do it now, and we said no, because the trees won't last until October. So we're working with we're going to work with a tree supplier and get a little bit larger than seedlings and donate the trees to them for them. They're looking at about 40 or 50 trees. So again, that's another way that you wouldn't think that we're working with other agencies, but those are things that we're doing to help other agencies in the county further their cause too as well. So, and then we're doing the 5th grade trees as well, working with for Arbor Day, that we donate about 15,000 or 1,500 tree seedlings across the county to the county 5th graders. So we're doing that as well. And then working with Job and Family Services on a summer program, trying to work with Job and Family Services, Seneca County Parks District, and Tiffin Forestry Department, City of Tiffin's Forestry Department, to employ a couple of youth this summer to give them some training in urban and tree ID, as well as tree maintenance, tree care, and cleaning up the nature preserve, the Garland Nature Preserve out there. So some of the things that we're doing. Airport, we finally got the permit from.
Corps. Good.
So we're gonna be doing a planting, warm season grass planting, and also a shrubbery planting out there on that. I believe it's a ½ an acre. So that should, in case, I was hoping Fred was here in case he got questions, but that should be happening. So we're working with them to get that done. So.
Okay, good.
So that they should be in compliance as of this spring, and then we'll do the monitoring on it every year for them. So yeah, exactly. So it saved a little bit of money
Yeah.
for us to be able to, and they agreed to let us do it. So that's the good thing, and it's minor. It really is minor. It wasn't a big deal, other than just trying to work with the Army Corps of Engineers,
Yeah.
which was not an easy task. So. But that's it. That's kind of what's going on. So again, as you talking with Bill and talking with Jeff and Senator Burke, please communicate the importance of keeping us together. And if they're going to increase the workload with the nutrient management issues in Lake Erie, then they need to also look at additional funding, because the local funding can't sustain it.
Yeah. And I know, obviously, that's the state money. Was there anything other than the fertilizer training stuff that came out of the Farm Bill that was effect to anything with the?
No, not a whole lot. I mean, it's still pretty much, not affecting us. I mean, there's a lot that affected FSA side. That's
right.
crazy.
Their whole program side and
That's
and
crazy
stuff.
over
And like I
there,
said,
but no, there's not a whole. I mean, we've got more money, of course. I mean, there's a lot more money coming on the conservation side. We did get 2 grants. That's the other thing I forgot to tell. We because of some of the efforts that we've been doing locally, we actually received 2 more grant funding opportunities from the state. One specifically for the Rock Creek watershed, and it's geared towards putting some BMP practices on in the next 2 years. And then we got grant funding for across the county for cover crops, controlled drainage structures, and doing some other things. So
And I'm assuming you probably maxed those out with applicants.
the Lake Erie one we have maxed out. The thing with the Rock Creek one, we had another grant in the Rock Creek, so that was not the watershed we picked. We picked the Wolf Creek, trying to get some things there. But USCPA wouldn't let us go to the Wolf Creek. It wasn't a watershed with problems, so according to them. So we're
They should have asked Mark.
Yeah.
well,
Could ask
but not according to their problems
Right.
for their TMDL. So, so we're actually working on we're working on another grant to try and get some cost share practices into the Wolf Creek area. But we did get a fair amount, so we're working on it, some controlled drainage structures. We have maxed that one out. We actually went back and were able to get more money. You know, we've got a pretty good reputation of getting stuff implemented and getting the producers to work with us, and so because of that, we're getting more money. We got the almost $800,000 last year in cover crop money because we had the people ready and willing to sign up. So, you know, across the county, we've got about 20,000 acres of cover crops, which
Yeah.
that's almost unrealistic,
Yeah.
you know, from the standpoint of implementation. Hardly anybody believes that we have that many so far, so, in that short period of time, so we're excited.
Yeah. Well, keep up the good work.
We're trying, so.
And I'm assuming the mastermind behind all your stuff, that's all done with your staff, your design and ability for creating these things, and
We have a
I
phenomenal
see the
staff.
social farmer push and,
We have the willingness of the staff and the cooperation of the board. It's a combination of both. The staff has bought into it, and that was the key thing. You know, when we first started this, we made sure they were educated and understood that they were gonna have to be socially active in the realms of, not everybody, but Brett especially, Brett and Kendall. But they all are, they're all understanding, they all have buy into it. We moved Beth to the outreach coordinator. We needed somebody, she works part-time anyway, but instead of doing education, she's now doing the outreach coordination of doing the newsletter, doing the posts, designing the billboard and doing grant. She's doing all our grant. She and I are doing all the grant writing, so. Yeah, we got great buy-in, got a great staff. It's, all cylinders are hitting and nobody's griping, so but we have a great board as well. A very proactive board, so that's been a key thing too. They're not holding us back, they're allowing us to venture out into some new things and dabble, you know, get our feet wet and see how it works, and if it isn't working, you know, it's a 5-year plan. We've decided we're gonna give it 5 years and see what the results in 5 years, and then decide if it was a worthwhile venture or if we need to change focus, so. So, it's pretty fun. And as well as you guys being receptive to it and understanding what we're trying to do, so. I mean, it's a cooperative effort all along. I mean, it takes everybody to go along with it, so.
Yeah.
Not everybody is receptive to the social media and understanding of it.
Yeah.
And the importance of it, but we are starting to see some great returns from it. Not just locally, but nationally, and some national people coming to us and asking us to participate in things. Notre Dame is asking us for some information now, and, you know, it's a lot of fun. I'm on a national district outlook task force now. We got a shout out at the national convention from the Deputy Secretary of Undersecretary of Agriculture, you know, for some of the great things that we're doing promoting of soil health and water quality, so.
Good.
So we'll see. Hopefully we don't get too big for our britches.
Well, keep up the good work.
I'm sure everybody will keep us grounded, so.
And congratulations on
So, and
the
if there,
award.
again, you know, if you guys need anything, you know, the number, 7073, just give us a call and make sure if it deals with soil or water, please call the Conservation District or refer them to us so that, you know, we can communicate clearly, and if you refer them to us, we'll definitely make sure that you guys are kept in the loop on that stuff, so. Any questions for me? Welcome aboard.
Thanks.
He's still saying thank you after 2 months. So, hey, things are good. Things are good.
Look it up. Thank you very much, ma'am. We will probably better go to the RFQ. It's scheduled at 10:30. Have that done.
You're leaving, so you don't get to sign it. Yay.
The RFQ is for our airport. There's probably not much I read on these, it's just, we got 2 in. And this is, again, for the engineering services out to the airport. The engineering consulting services is not something that we have to bid out. That's one of the exemptions in the ORC. But the FAA has told us we needed to do this for the airport, so that's what we did. The first qualifications is from Stantec Consulting Services out of Columbus, Ohio. And the second bid is taped up pretty good. These are Richland Engineering Limited out of, let me say they are out of Mansfield. And that's who currently does ours now. What we'll do with these now is we'll get our scoring sheets, since this is technically our qualification process. We'll get our scoring sheets and we'll read the qualifications, mark off the qualifications, score them, and then go into the negotiation process. And so,
Okay.
we'll proceed.
Does Brad have any input into that?
Yes, yes, yep. He'll review these as well.
Very good.
Okay. That's all we need to do right now.
Yep.
Do we want to, I guess, start with the supplemental appropriations? Mark, are you on a time frame?
I am not.
Okay. Assuming we'll get to these pretty quickly, and if not, we can stop before we get to the, after the subs, and break into the executive session if we needed to, or we can just run through it.
Yep, I have bill vouchers 31 through 33. I have a supplement to the permanent appropriations for the Public Assistance Fund 030, putting $125,000 into their capital projects line. I have a supplement to the permanent appropriation for the Ambulance Service Fund 064, 2015. This is putting $6,500 into their equipment line. Their server is going to be lucky to make it for another 2 weeks, so they desperately need this. It's supposed to last us a little bit longer, but it's failing. And a supplement to the permanent appropriation general fund. Oh, student transfers out. For the general fund, this is putting the $6,500 into our transfers outline. We have a resolution authorizing a fund transfer to be made to the ambulance service fund of 64, moving it from the transfers outline to the transfers in, again for $6,500. I have a resolution amending the board's orders of February 3rd, 2015, Journal 91, page 48, resolution authorizing a fund transfer be made to the Soil and Water Fund 042, and I think it was just, looks like we put it in the Soil and Water Fund, and it should be in, it should have been into the flood plain administration line for $140,000. I have a resolution establishing the rates for the 23 to 24 sewer system. I have a resolution authorizing Seneca County Board of Commissioners to enter into an agreement contract with the Joint Fire District out of Jackson, Liberty, and Bettsville. This is just allowing the prosecutor to serve as their legal counsel. He does normally, but by resolution we have to pass that. So that's what this resolution is for, is just the commissioners allowing Eric to represent the joint boards. I think it says fire district, but I think it's supposed to be the new EMS district. I have a resolution authorizing Seneca County Board of Commissioners to enter into an agreement contract with MBS, this is New Regal, Big Springs, and Seneca Joint Ambulance District for their legal services, again, allowing the prosecutor for legal services. And also one for AVR Ambulance District as well. A resolution authorizing contract service agreement with Ames Excavating for the New Regal sewers on behalf of the Seneca County Sanitary Sewer District. I have a resolution authorizing the 2015 software support agreement with McDonald, Friedberg, Carr, and Dixon on behalf of the Seneca County Common Police Court. And I have a resolution approving the subrogation request from Joseph and Casey Bowman and authorizing Holly M. Stacy as president to sign. And that's all the resolutions I have.
There's a motion to approve.
So moved.
And I will second. Questions on any of the resolutions? Since Mark's here, the 23-224 sewer system, the quarterly, that is then in the same system with all the other
That is in
districts being
line,
quarterly?
that is correct. When we started that system, due to the debt repayment of it, we started doing meter readings every month, which becomes burdensome, first off, and we have enough history with that sanitary system now that we know the rates have not changed. The percentage that people pay hasn't changed in years. So for me to go out there every month and read all the meters is pointless, considering it's the only system we do that for. So this puts us in line with the rest of our sanitary districts doing quarterly billing. It'll make it easier for the planning commission to do billing, and also easier for all of the customers to plan, knowing what their rates will be quarterly. So that's what that's for. In addition, one of the rates is a long-term agreement that we made with the Sunny Farms landfill. They have been paying us a substantial tap-in fee for the last couple of years. We let them pay that over a 2-year period due to the size of it. They are completing that payment, I think, this month, or that debt repayment. And so we negotiated a long-term contract for basically rental of our line. It costs us nothing, but they're going to pay us $18,250 a year to use our line to pump their effluent, their leachate, to the city of Fostoria, and those funds then are being taken off of the sewer bills, supplementing the sewer bills customer.